comebacks, upsets, and shocking race victories. That's been the theme for the Integrity Racing League over the past 2 weeks as the playoff hunt is in full swing. Every driver knows now that the cut line is firmly set. 15 drivers will make the playoffs in both of our Monday and Tuesday night series, and no matter what happens tonight, anything for the next two races could also shift the tone and decide who makes it in and who falls off the cut line. So with that being said, here's the best spot for any driver to make a move. If you're strong on the ovals, we're going to finish out the regular season here, the Octane Series, with some of our more familiar tracks, and this venue in Delaware is one of them. Welcome back to coverage of the 2025 Integrity OCTANE Series for our 19th race of the season. This is the virtual Dover Motor Speedway. I'll be your host for tonight's event. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. Welcome back live on FTN Broadcasting. Last night saw a first-time winner for the year in Justin Morton for the Integrity Ignite Series, with now just about 32 drivers locked in for today's festivities. We might just see more of the same. Qualifying is on the move now, with drivers taking times. Nate Campbell has gotten himself up to the provisional pole position. Nate sits P1 with a quick time, a 23.357. Campbell finds himself there. Nick Tarbuck in P2, Ryan Bean third, Don Stevenson fourth, and Cody Smith concludes the top five for the time being. Blake Cannon and Brad Patton, the newest two winners on the Octane Series schedule. They went back-to-back for races after Ethan Lane had his dominating tear that got him up to 8 consecutive, of course, 8 wins overall and 2 consecutive seasons with 8 or more victories. Lane is definitely going to be chasing more as he puts his first time down. Wow, that time is going to be good to go all the way. Ethan Lane, pole position, 54 thousandths of a second ahead of Nate Campbell. Lane takes another pole position, and it will be the number 6 team at the top of the board again tonight. He's looking for win number 9 on the schedule this year. Last season, coming away with 14 wins, and I think the goal for him is to match your best stat for the remainder of the season. Ethan is already firmly locked into the championship hunt. Only 6 drivers have locked themselves in. Nick Tarbuck tonight is set to be the next to do so as Tom Wetmore comes to a halt. Looks like his qualifying time will not be validated right there. Nicholas Ward is one of the guys who's already got himself in. He's got 1 win. That's enough to automatically punch a ticket. It's a 61-point gap between first and second in the championship points. Ethan Lane has continued to break away from everyone else so far. Casey Shue just put it up to 16th. Woody Mahan wraps up the top 15. And it looks like now the top 10 drivers have all been firmly seated. Tom Wetmore is getting back on the way and looking for redemption after his first lap. This second one is the one that really counts for the number 51 team. Wetmore going through 1 and 2. A little bit off the bottom seam. We'll see if that's by design or if Tom is struggling now with grip. Through 3 and 4, Wetmore to the bottom side, shaking ever so slightly. Last night, able to qualify in the top 10, just able to make it through with another top 10 finish, and it looks like for Tom, a 23.681 puts him back up to 7th place. He qualified there last night in Portland, and it looks like that's been his lucky number in starting these races as of recent. Tom Wetmore, 7th, as he waits on the other 3 drivers who have yet to take a time. Jared Davis is on pit road. Josh Gallagher is still on the way. Josh is seated in 20th. And so it looks like every driver, except for 3, have chosen to take a time. We're, of course, missing only Brad Patton, Randy Fiash, and Brant McClendon. And as Tom Wetmore puts the final time in, the fastest is put through by Ethan Lane. Lane collects his 7th pole position of the season, and with a quick time of 23.483, Ethan will bring the fields of green tonight from Dover. Nate Campbell will line up to his outside and complete the front row. Five final minutes of waiting before we get to business. The Octane Series looking at some pretty good crowds as we get toward the 2/3 way point of the season. More than 30 drivers still coming out tonight. More than half of them will not end up in the playoffs. We are only going to have 15 spots available, and so there's still about 20-25 drivers with a realistic chance. Any driver that meets eligibility requirements on attendance, however, can win their way in. That is exactly what Justin Morton did last night. He was not in the top 20 in points coming into Portland. He ended up coming away with a victory, and that was all he needed. So far, though, the winningest drivers this season have been at the front of the field, and some of your top guys in points still have yet to come to victory lane. Second and third in points have not yet won, and neither have fifth or sixth. Goes to show, winning is not everything, but great results are. And if you want to guarantee a great result, you qualify well. Let's get to know your starting grid from the virtual Dover, Delaware. It's Ethan Lane once again with the pole position. He'll take poles on back-to-back nights, and Lane lines up beside the rookie in the 45. That is Nate Campbell. Campbell to the top of the board, and he finds himself on the outside of the front row. Next from there, you'll have third place in qualifying Nick Tarbuck. Interestingly enough, those are your top three in points. Nick is second in the championship. Campbell is in third. Ryan Bean will start fourth with Don Stevenson fifth and Cody Smith, then the final man in the third row. He'll start P6 tonight. Seventh place on the lineup, Tom Wetmore. Blake Cannon in the number 44 goes eighth with Jared Davis and Matt Sizzler wrapping up the top 10. 11th place will be Zach Schrintenel and 12th will be Nicholas Ward. 13th place then, right after him, will be the driver of the number 14. That is Brock Potter. Potter goes right beside Jacob Fife, and Fife will line up today in 14th place. P15 immediately after will be Nolan Potter, so you will have the brothers lined up right with each other in the same groove. Sam Nieto going P16, John Zabaro in 17th, and you'll have Woody Mahan in 18th place. 19th and 20th will be Casey Shue and Josh Gallagher. For the top 25, Brian Yazik, Ross Cato, Bobby Keith, Aaron Eads, and last of them, Kyle Cooper. To wrap up the top 30, Eric McFarland, John Steele, Eli Cars, and Richard Smith. Smith being the last driver to take a time. Brad Patton will line up 30th after winning, and there will be Brant McClendon and Randy Fiash, your final two drivers, all on the qualifying grid. Patton choosing not to take a time as he's already locked into the playoffs, but many a driver still have to punch their ticket. That's your starting grid from the Dover Motor Speedway. Lane collects his 7th pole position of the year as he looks for his 9th victory on the schedule. So Brad is going to be racing rather comfortably tonight. I think the next few weeks are going to look a little bit more like an off week or a vacation stretch for Brad. It's not to say that he's going to completely check out, but he's decided to give himself a little bit more of a challenge as he intentionally chooses to head to the back of the field. Brad is the only driver that has so consistently decided to put himself back there and test whether or not he's got the stuff. Right now, it looks like this is going to be another one of those classic Brad Patton races in which he does the exact same thing. 50 seconds left on the clock. Blake Cannon sets the fastest time in this warm-up session here. Expecting conditions to be very constant all day long. Sun will remain shining. We're not going to see any conditions changing in terms of brightness, and tires will remain warm. For the time being, of course, Cannon holds fort, Patton goes second, Ryan Bean third, and Zach Schrintenel in fourth. To the inside, Cannon making contact with that pit road entry. Nevertheless, he'll have to watch out for the 6th of Ethan Lane, and I'm sure that Lane is going to keep his eyes peeled on this man, the number 45 of Nate Campbell. Campbell desperately needs a victory, not to lock himself into the playoffs. He's already firmly up and in front of the points calendar, of course. Week after week, he's been consistent. He's got the stuff, but at the very same time, a victory will really prove he can go out there and win a championship. Practice and qualifying have concluded. Cannon is the fastest in this brief session, and so we move on now to the big show, the main event. 200 laps and 200 miles of racing for the virtual Dover, Delaware. 32 drivers are set to take on the challenge in a venue we've been to now 3 consecutive years. And Dover, honestly, has been a surprisingly exciting track in our few years here coming. Oftentimes, I think it has the reputation of being a track where it just comes and goes. Maybe not necessarily a fan favorite, not a hated track either, but almost innocuous on the schedule. You don't think of it all too much. It comes around, you go through, and then you get out. I think this time with this schedule placement, though, drivers are going to remember what happens tonight maybe more than ever before at this venue. Of course, Dover's a track that we visited last year. Not a stranger for any of these guys. Last time we went to Dover, Delaware in the Octane Series was earlier in the season. It was a May race in which Blake Cannon was able to come to victory. So Cannon broke out and got his one and only win that year at this very venue. He's going to be starting in 8th place today. Watch out for Blake here. He is up in front, got good track position, just has to make the most of it as he gets on his way at the front of the field, Lane and Campbell. Blake was one of only 2 drivers to break up the dominance of the Big 3. So he got that victory and was a shock for the entire field. In 2023, however, it was Nick Tarbuck who got the job done. Nick able to come on strong and take the checkered flag. And so you have both of your former Dover winners with us today, both of which are already locked into the championship chase with comfort. Cannon with a victory. Nick Tarbuck anticipating to officially lock himself in tonight on points. Ethan Lane has the wins to stack up, and he has more wins than every other driver combined. The remainder of the field to this point who are racing for a championship have 6 wins. Ethan Lane has 8. He'll be looking to go for number 9 tonight as the field gets back to business from the Constitution State. Here we go again. The rookie, Nate Campbell, surges into the opening corner, leaving Ethan Lane a car length back. Welcome back to Dover. We are under green for 200 racing laps. Ethan Lane gets back that race lead as quick as he lost it, and so it's going to be a very fast back and forth exchange between your top 2 drivers. Ethan with the edge, Nate Campbell taking 2nd place again. Front row get off the line well. Nick Tarbuck stays 3rd place. Blake Cannon jumps up 3 to go P5 as they single file out in front. Last week in the Octane Series, it was Brad Patton who was finally able to go the distance in a track type that really hasn't suited him too well. It's been the superspeedways and those high-speed tracks where we've seen a little bit more close, contentious racing, shall we say, and oftentimes that brings the worst out of a driver, and so luckily that didn't end up being too much of a problem for Patton last week. I don't think it's going to be much of an issue overall this week, as most drivers are already single file, thinning it out, and getting themselves all out of harm's way. The playoff bubble battle is what you got to watch, and right now, Ross Cato finds himself exactly on the line. Ross is on the bubble. He is now some 22 points ahead of Jared Davis, and 10 behind on Matt Sizzler. So Cato's got to watch out because the number 93 team is still ahead of him, and in the point standings, those minor advantages will go a very long way. Tonight, Ross starting in 22nd place, all the while the Sizzler crew, who are on the circuit right now, well, out of sight for the time being. We'll keep our eyes peeled as to whether or not Ross can get in that battle directly, but for now, Ross is going at it. He's now up to 21st. Matt, of course, seeing contact, and down the front straightaway, we got trouble. It's Woody Mahan going to the inside and getting out of everyone's way, but Woody sees issues. Watch what happens now for Sam Nieto and Woody Mahan. These guys were battling for around 12th, and Mahan just locks it up and luckily slams it flush with the inside retainer. That means that nobody else gets in trouble, but it could have been a whole lot worse if he ended up overcorrecting. Unfortunately, a little bit of a touch-up with Sam Nieto, and that will cost Mahan for the rest of his race. Sam gets away 16th to 14th, and so now he's got himself the edge. Nobody else to really deal with here. Brock Potter and John Zabaro are at it for 13th. Watch what happens now for Nolan Potter, who gets down to the bottom side. Nolan opts to see John Zabaro out, and they'll go toe-to-toe. We'll see if there's a pass here. Looks like John Zabaro in a sandwich with the Potters up on his high side and his low side, and now ahead and behind of him. Brian Yazik could get a little bit closer to Nolan in the meanwhile, and Casey Shue in the number 5 is looking to channel the speed of both of his JTM teammates that we saw last night, both for the sake of the paint scheme and the sake of the number. While Casey runs the number 5 on Tuesday nights, it's his teammate Tyler Hensley that does so on Mondays. Tyler able to come away with a career best 4th place finish. He did so starting that race in Portland in 10th, working his way up, and even out finishing. Oh, we got trouble. That looks like Jacob Fife. And it is. Fife is rolling up at the high side of the track, and the 36 appears to be done. Something happened to Fife. Caution. I think that's an equipment failure. Take a look at what happened inside the cockpit. That looks very unusual. Not sure what happened with Jacob Fife here, but the caution is out. He is on pit road, and that's the cause for the yellow. Jacob lets up off the throttle, and it didn't look like anything firm happened, as if it folded hard to the right side, but either way, caution is out. Problems for Jacob Fife and Woody Mahan there. Mahan is going to disconnect for the day as Ross Cato gets some pit stop service. Ross is back on the move. Going to be an early call coming down in and getting on the jacks tonight. Interesting to note, we have 4 extra tire sets available as compared to the usual 3. So maybe Ross deciding to dig in a little bit early, going to give him an advantage for the rest of the night, assuming that most drivers are only going to use 3 extra sets today. Very possible he's just going to go through that extra and now assume the rest of the race goes as it usually would. He'll have a 12-lap advantage on the field. We'll see whether or not that proves to be any more important than what we're seeing. Ethan Lane and Nate Campbell, positions 1 and 2, the way they started are the way they are. Pretty simply put, aside from the fact that Campbell was able to get the race lead very briefly through the first 2 corners, it looks like so far Ethan Lane has remained untouchable. However, the big thing has been, of course, what happens for him later in the race. Last 2 weeks in the Ignite Series, Ethan Lane has been his own worst enemy, and he wasn't able to finish the job last week, in which Patton got the victory, and Ethan Lane was oh so close. Last Monday night, Lane with a speeding violation on pit road, and that ended up causing him to lose out on a battle against Justin Morton. Tonight, of course, pit road won't be as important, so it's just about making minimal error on the racetrack. Nate Campbell will be followed by Nick Tarbuck and Ryan Bean, whereas Blake Cannon and Cody Smith will be the men backing up the number 6 of Lane. After minor incidents involving Jacob Fife and Woody Mahan, the field is at a standstill for the first time tonight. Caution number 1 gives way to your very first restart, and it's going to be all Ethan Lane and Nate Campbell. Grab a gear number 6. We are back in business. Campbell is real shaky. That gives way for Blake Cannon, and they'll split him down the middle. Cody Smith, Nick Tarbuck both get by. Campbell with problems off the launch. All of a sudden, your 2023 winner is running third. Your 2024 winner is running second, and he's looking to win once again. Ethan Lane sees Blake Cannon drop to the way inside of the circuit. He'll take P1, and for the first time tonight is Blake Cannon up in front. If Cannon is to win tonight, he'll be looking for his second win in the last 3 races, and he's looking to go toe-to-toe with Ethan Lane in that regard. Cannon making his move, and a strong run gets him up to the points. Blake Cannon up and away. 1 victory so far this season. He is third in the playoff standings, and he now has an irrevocable ticket to the playoff picture. No matter what, he will make it in. So it doesn't matter if he wins tonight or if that isn't the case, although I'm very certain that his goal is just to go out there and win again. It really doesn't matter if he's already got a win. I mean, for Ethan Lane, he's got 8 wins and he's still chasing another. The past success doesn't matter. It's always about the expectation of what's going on for the future. Future success is what dictates a championship, and both of these guys know it. Ethan Lane about a car length back here, hasn't yet gotten up to that back bumper. When Cannon took it, he ran with it. Roadhouse Racing with 2 top 10 runs going on so far. Tom Wetmore finding himself in 8th place. Jared Davis with Nate Campbell. They're going to be alongside each other once again. Davis dropping down to the bottom. Jared finding himself 22 points off the cut line right now. He needs to keep on making moves because his competition is not only Ross Cato, but also Matt Sizzler. Jared being outside of the cut line just comes down to inconsistency and not making every race so far this season. He has been a, of course, very solid driver, one of the best outright in the field. He got a podium last night. He has a win in the Ignite Series, but Tuesday night success has not come his way, at least to the same degree, and I think he's well aware of that. However, of course, he can right the ship, and when it's most important, he can make those changes to succeed, and I think that's what's all in the eyes and the mind of Jared Davis right now. He's looking after other positions. He's putting all the earlier troubles behind. He runs 16th in the overall championship to this point. He's just outside of the cut, and he needs these positions. Oh, Davis slides with a little bit of a nudge from Nate Campbell. That was a risky pass, and he'll make it for 7th. That might cost both Wetmore, of course, and Davis, as they all have to slow down. But Nate Campbell gets past, and he is blocked, losing him even more. Don Stevenson the inside on Matt Sizzler. John Tabarro going at it now to the inside of Brian Yazik. Nick Ward caught up in this one as well. Looks like some mid-pack battling for about 15th place. Top 10 has been a little bit more comfortable overall. Ryan Bean and Cody Smith might be the only battle that's bubbling, but not before we see Sam Nieto and Brad Patton go at it. Both these drivers locked in. Number 5, Exalta Chevrolet gets out of the way, and it looks like Patton will be able to keep that inside, and the number 5 slides in as well. That is Casey Shue. Jared Davis for 6th as Jacob Fife gets back on the way. 12 laps down, he's puttering to the inside of the circuit. And you can see that right side damage is immense, and he's not really going to have much chance to run competitive times, but he'll put himself out there just to get a few more points. He's ahead now on Woody Mahan and runs 30th. Ethan Lane takes the lead back from Blake Cannon. Nick Tarbuck closing the gap ever so slightly to get up to P3. Smith and Ryan Bean, 4th and 5th places respectively. Jared Davis, Tom Wetmore, 6th and 7th. Everyone now running calm and collected as we begin to get into the long run of this strategy cycle. So, what we are expecting to see, I would say anyway, is a 2-stop strategy. Everyone given an extra tire set tonight, which means the expectation is that more often than not, you're going to see drivers going in earlier when they have that lenience. I think that's going to be the case again today. So, this early stint could last up to 75, 80 laps. And he could come down and in. Ethan Lane could come down and in, and he might lead the field. You might see some guys in the mid-pack try to go for the undercut, coming at about lap 65 or lap 70, and try to get out or ahead. And we might see some guys stretch it to up to lap 80. All depends on what they're comfortable pushing. And then from there, the next pit stop cycle on the day would be predicted under green to be at about lap 150. That is all dependent on whether or not these guys stay collected. I would say lap 40 is more realistic. Lap 140, that is. So as long as these drivers keep it together, stay calm, and get themselves out of harm's way, a 2-stop run would be the most expected of all for these leaders. Now, there are some drivers like Ross Cato who went down and in, decide to get new rubber. For Ross, it really hasn't turned out to be a great thing so far. He's got a 12-lap tire advantage, but the car he's got ahead of him, he's got a lot. He's got track position that he decided to sacrifice, and I don't think that it ended up being the right decision, at least so far anyway. Cato's got a lot of time to pull it back, but currently he is further behind, and it doesn't look like he's making active moves. Matt Sisler seeing Brock Potter to his inside. This is the battle for 9th. Zach Schrintenal watches as Potter is going to fall back here, and Schrintenal continues to lay down the law as he's got both the Potters now behind him. Not just the number 34 of Nolan Potter, but of course closest is Brock Potter in the 14. Zach that time by, pulling a good 10th and a half as they come out of turn 2. And that's the expectation now for Schrintenal, just to try to break away and put more pressure on Matt Sisler. Matt is having a clutch race right now. Again, he and Ross Cato are battling to be the bubble driver, and they both have to deal with Jared Davis. While Davis is ahead of Matt Sisler, both are running inside the top 10, and so they would both gain on Ross Cato. Sisler would gain upwards and pull himself away, while for Jared Davis, the goal is to pull himself toward both the number 93 and the 12 alike. Currently, it looks like he's doing a good job of that as he runs in 6th position. No troubles on the racing circuit after those opening issues. Jacob Fife now 17 laps down and back to pit road. The last driver on the lead lap is now John Steele in the number 22. Steele running further behind the field, but he's still got a few seconds until he's put one down. It looks like he's got about a quarter of the circuit until he has to really concern himself. 35 laps in out of 200. At this pace, you may expect to see lap traffic by about lap 50 to lap number 55. So until that point, should be smooth sailing for everyone in front, as the top 10 really has become a cruise. If you're up there, you're sitting pretty. And it looks like right now, very few opportunities to actively contend. Don Stevenson would like a try for 12th. And so he'll go down to the bottom. Rubbing Schrintenal up the circuit, Don Stevenson makes no secret what he wants, and he will try to take it. Stevenson, who runs right now 12th in the playoff standings, 11th in the regular season battle, he's 37 points up on that bubble. So he's got a little bit of leverage. As a matter of fact, 28 points up when they came into this one. But so far he's gained a few points to the cut line, and he has an advantage, and he should be sitting 30 points above by the end of night. Don just has to keep the good times rolling, of course, and make sure he gets involved in little trouble. But he's a driver who so far has made consecutive playoff berths in the Octane Series. He led the championship for a brief period in 2023 and has won races in both 2023 and 2024. And if he is able to win again this season, he would be the only driver alongside Ethan Lane so far that could claim that they've won in 2023, 2024, and 2025 in the Octane Series. Very impressive by all means. So even one victory would put Stevenson on the map in that regard. He has 2 wins in his Octane Series career, one of which coming at Atlanta last year, the one prior, his first, coming at the Charlotte Roval during the playoffs. So watch out for Stevenson, as he might be a silent threat to keep a closer eye on as the season progresses. He always finds a way to get to victory lane once. Nate Campbell running in 7th place, qualifying P2, so a little bit further off of maybe where we expected to see him, but not at all a bad start for the outside pole sitter. Campbell is going head-to-head with Nick Tarbuck for P2 in the championship at this rate. Ethan Lane is looking to cruise to a regular season title, but that means that everything else is still undecided. If Campbell can find himself ahead of Tarbuck tonight, still possible, he might have a chance to claw back the deficit he has to that number 4 crew. However, Nick now holds 31 points ahead of Nate. And those 31 points will be remarkably valuable with only 2 more races after this in the regular season. You cannot afford to falter. You cannot afford to mess up. If you're on the bubble, these races count. We still don't have that many drivers officially locked in. While we have 6 drivers locked in on victories and 2 drivers sitting 100+ points above on the cut line, everything else is still up for grabs, and that leaves from 9th position down to 15th 6 drivers who could take it whenever they like it. Jared and Ryan a little bit tighter than before. Take a look on board with Ryan Bean briefly and see what he's doing as he's making the push for a pass. Ryan has not yet made his way through. 4th to 6th on the day, qualifying 4th. He's down 2 spots. Jared Davis, 9 to 5, gaining 4. So these drivers have been all comfortable in the single digits throughout the entirety of this race so far. Not too much of an immediate concern for either, as Tom Wetmore stays just ahead of Brock Pop. Right now, Wetmore running a little bit further behind than his teammate in Cannon. As a matter of fact, Blake is looking for the race lead, and he'll surge down to the inside. Blake Cannon, for the 2nd time tonight, takes the race lead from Dover. And the number 44 is out in the head, looking for 2 consecutive victories at this circuit, and giving another early flash as to what his real intentions are, bringing it back to victory lane. Cannon, a very, very fundamental pass, picking him off to the inside. And although it wasn't flashy, it really did look good. That's what you got to do if you're a driver like Blake here. Who knows, Ethan Lane has been at the top of the field and outright the best driver in this series all year long. Doesn't mean that Blake Cannon can't hang with them, and he just proved right there with a pass like that, he is far from done. The fight for the victory only just begins with a move like that, and it proves he's not going to lie down even when he was passed by Lane before. Not a lot of drivers under green can get the lead back from Lane. That is a special talent reserved for the very few who really are at his caliber. And I would say that The two biggest threats to Lane's championship, dare I say both of them are running now in the top three. You got Cannon, who is a winner, who's a guy who maybe not the most predictable on the racetrack. He is often an aggressive force, makes risky moves, and he is not afraid to let people see it. But he's also, for the most part anyway, a very well put together driver. It just happens that in the heat of the moment, he will not back down. He's got aggressive pace, knows how to track someone down in the heat of the moment, as we mentioned again, and it's all about that clutch timing factor, and that ability has gotten him to victory lane when he's needed it the most. Nick Tarbuck, maybe a little bit more of a passive force, but by no means is he any sort of a slouch. He is the second best driver by points for a great reason. His consistency is basically unparalleled, not only across this season, but across the Integrity OCTANE Series in its entirety. 14 top 10s is the most of anyone in the field, and 9 top 5s is the second most of anyone in the field. Nick might not have a pole nor victory to his name so far, but what he has is those good supplementary stats, and he has them in spades. Very few drivers can rack them up well, as you can see here. Close racing between the lappers and the leaders. Nate Campbell getting just ahead of Ryan Bean at the same time. Bean just holding forward in the 45. This battle might just be the closest in the top 10 as Tom Wetmore finds himself stranded. He's with the lappers. These two lead lap guys right on each other. At the same time, it's now a half-second lead for Blake Cannon relative to Ethan Lane. Nate drops down to 7th with this little joust. Matt Sizzler keeps the number 34 of, well, look at that. Potter right on the way. And that's because it looks like now 2 laps down, Nolan has new rubber. So an interesting call, and an early one at that. Nolan Potter opts down and into pit road. 54 laps in, and now 55 out of 200. You got to watch what happens here as drivers will decide to come to pit road. Nolan being the very first of which to come in at lap number 51. So a big-time undercut. And although he's close mathematically on making it the whole way, I don't know if that was the right call, because he's going to have a really, really long middle stint here if he wants any chance of making it a two-stopper, which I guess he's going to bet on, given the fact he's the only driver now with new tire. Coming right up on the battle between Campbell and Brock Potter. Potter gets by Campbell, putting the 45 in 8th. But just take a look at how fast Nolan Potter makes his way by on Nate Campbell. And now he'll go by his brother at warp speed if he can just pull it back there. Biggest mover in the top 10 so far tonight is 13th to 7th in Brock Potter. So Brock has been up here since the jump, so you would be surprised that he moved outside of the top 10. He's been consistently battling alongside Nolan and company, and he's the only driver so far to crack the top 10 from qualifying outside of it. But I would say the most impressive moves made up the pack tonight have been those of 30th to 12th, Brad Patton. Patton is now up 18, and as he looks on John DeBarro, it very well could be a 19-place gain in the opening run. Now, that's textbook Brad Patton, if we've ever seen him do his thing before, which we've had the pleasure of seeing it time and time again. Brad is just like that. He can go all the way to the back of the field, and it's very, very rare that you can cage him for the whole race. He, at the very least, will find his way to the top 15, and if he finds his way to the top 15, he's looking and waiting to get up to the top 10, and so on and so forth. The way he started so far, well, it's been a fantastic run. "60 laps in out of 200. Blake Cannon out now to a full second lead. Nick Tarbuck about a half second back now, has not yet gotten the lane. Cody Smith, Jared Davis, Ryan Bean, Nate Campbell all running in successive order. The closest battles are just behind. Matt Sizzler's got Casey Shue all over him. JTM Motorsport as a whole having a banner night yesterday. Casey Shue, one of the many guys having great performances with that team. Tyler Hensley in the 5, we mentioned earlier, took 4th place. Thomas Bressi was able to take it there for P6 in the 24 Exalta machine. And of course, Matthew Thunhorst and winner Justin Morton 1-2 for the Enterprise as they get themselves another dominant road course run. Now, Nicholas Ward surging up high. Ward is on the lead lap here, so he does not have new tire, but he looks very quick in comparison to both the 5 and 93. I mean, take a look at that. Nicholas Ward up and in front, taking 2 spots at once, and he moves to 14th place. From just outside the top 15 to just inside of it. 63 laps in, making 64 as a matter of fact, out of 200. Ryan Bean now runs alone in 6th. Jared Davis goes P5, and right now he's 4 spots up on where he qualified, as we said beforehand. Nick is getting closer and closer now to Ethan Lane, and it looks like a pass for 2nd place might just come to pass, ironically enough, before we see our next pit stop cycle. Tarbuck dives deep. And as Ethan Lane gets up to the high groove, there's really nothing he can do. He'll try to get a nice run out of 4, but I don't think it's going to be enough. One down it inside of pit road. It's Zach Schrintenol. And you'll see now, pit service is on its way fully. Watch out on the left side of your screen. We'll see who goes in and when, because Schrintenol and now the number 96 of Josh Gallagher both have decided to make the call and head through. Schrintenol comes in, Yazik has, as has Gallagher. And so now you're beginning to see pit road become a busier place, and quickly. 67 laps in, out of 200. Blake Cannon still holds forward, but as you might have noticed, Ethan Lane out of the way. He'll take himself down to pit road at exactly the 1/3 mark of this race. As Lane drops in, it's going to be an easy in, easy out stop. The expectation, of course, he's going to go through 4 tires and fuel. Most drivers are now looking at it as this. They will use 2 of their extra sets. They have 4 tonight. The admin team being a little bit more generous, perhaps, because Dover is known for being particularly, shall we say, harmful to tires. Qualifying times were in the 23s. Race times for Blake Cannon as of recent have been in the 25-second range. And Blake putting Ethan Lane another lap down right there. Just like that, the number 6 of Lane is far out of leading contention. But that's only temporary. Because when Cannon goes down and in, or when Tarbuck does, or when Cody Smith does, and everyone cycles through, you'll then see who exactly stacked up the best off of pit road. To the inside goes the 47 of Don Stevenson. Richard Smith signaling he is now on his way through pit exit, and it's going to be Don who makes his move in for service. Tom Wetmore, more of the same on pit road as well, and Blake Cannon now opts in. Blake comes in with Nick Tarbuck, and as well, Eric McFarland. Jared Davis also getting service. Cannon makes his move. Casey Shue dropping in, and now this is going to be an important set of laps for Ethan Lane as he's going to try to put himself on the same lap as the 44. And we'll see whether or not he finds himself advantageous over Cannon, or if Blake again will cycle out better. Here comes Jared Davis on the way. And there's Kyle Cooper, Randy Fiash. And very clearly, Blake Cannon gets ahead of the number 4. But as for Ethan Lane, He's still got to drive deep through this next set of corners. He'll pass the 4, and it looks like he will not get past the 44 just yet. Coming down the back straightaway, Cannon tries to block. Oh, you can't pull that move and expect it to work. Either way, Ethan Lane only gets about a car length and a half, and Blake Cannon is already hot on his heels. Cannon to the inside, and already Ethan Lane cannot catch a break. He's got older tire, and his lead will only last 3 laps. Cannon, new race leader. Blake Cannon so quickly pulls it off, and I mean that move, trying to block when he was about 30 miles an hour slower. I am shocked that he got away with that. And I think he was in even luckier track position where you saw Randy Fiash and Jacob Fife were right in front, and he was just able to wake himself up and pile through. Cannon is now the leader of the net pit cycle. You've only got a few holdouts left, including new race leader Cody Smith. Powered by Next Level Racing tonight, of course. Next Level Racing being with us since 2023, providing high-quality sim racing performance products for dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best. Visit nextlevelracing.com to learn more and use promo code Integrity24 for 15% off at checkout. The best possible deal. For sim racing hardware, there's nowhere better to go, and Next Level Racing has not only been remarkably generous with the Integrity Racing League team, but FTN Broadcasting as a whole. What a team it is. Next Level Racing. And Cody Smith, 2022 Series champion, a remarkable brand ambassador. Hey, we got trouble. And that's going to be Brad Patton sliding. So Patton in the number 7 very briefly loses control, and he's on very old tire, and that is indicative of what it means when the rubber ages. Watch this. Behind Jared Davis, I think it gets to him. Maybe most similar to the Woody Mahan incident earlier on, but luckily this time around, your defending race winner makes no contact, and he will stay out. Jared Davis, oh, it's Sam Nieto! Davis and Nieto make contact. Now, what happened there? Because the 19 gets up to the 2, and chaos ensues. Just contact on the way up, driving out of turn 4. Davis sets it high and nudges Sam Nieto out of the way. Nieto, lucky not even to kiss the inside wall in a track that will sweep a driver down. The fact he saved it with only tire damage, really lucky. He's also going to get a free pit stop out of it because he stays on the lead lap. Officially, according to timing and scoring, yes, Sam Nieto is still in 7th, which is where he ran prior to the incident. Dover is one of the heaviest banked circuits in all of stock car racing. With 9 degrees of banking through the straightaways, this track will sweep you right up and down. As Cody Smith and company decide to go on their way to pit road, it's going to be a little bit of a bonus pit stop, shall we say. Bonus pit cycle, and these drivers have nothing to lose as they come in together. Now, keep in mind, not everyone is going to get back on the lead lap here, so you're seeing a lot of drivers come down to pit road. DeBarro, Ryan Bean, Nate Campbell, Jared Davis, and all of the like. Meanwhile, Cody Smith gets out ahead and is still cycled up as your race leader. So this is where the race is going to get really interesting because most of the field is at least 1 lap down, and not all of that is going to change, but a fair proportion of the field will be pulled back in. Now 11 drivers are scored on the lead lap, last of which is Ethan Lane. for the time being. Coming to one lap to green, let's see who of these drivers will get cycled around. Again, not everyone going to return to the lead lap here, but we should give a majority of the field another chance. Cody Smith scored as your top driver, and it will be 11 drivers on the lead lap when we get back to business. Cody Smith, Jared Davis, Brad Patton. On the inside, John DeBarro, Nicholas Ward, Sam Nieto on the outside. Not a lot of guys on the lead lap, but your heavy hitters remain. Watch as Tarbuck, Cannon, Lane all look to fight. Lane is going to have to go through all the lap traffic. Cody Smith has full control. Back to business for lap number 83, and Dover, Delaware has gotten shaken up and then some. Green flags out. Cody Smith, of all drivers, takes full control. Smith has a 0.4 of a second advantage to the next driver in John DeBarro. Oh, we got a little bit of shakeup. It is Casey Shue up into the wall and contact. Yellow flag is out. Casey Shue pummeled. And watch it here. Cautions breeding cautions perhaps as the 5 of Shue gets himself in big trouble. Eli Cars was watching on the onset. It was the contact between Nolan Potter and Tom Wetmore that set Casey Shue off. Shue backs off, then gets hit by the 34 of Potter here. So that's how it went down. If we take a look on board from Potter's perspective, maybe you'll get an idea, a better idea as to how it was to be part of both steps of the chain reaction. Slides, then Casey Shue, nowhere to go at that point. And still the caution flies, 86 laps in out of 200. Nick Tarbuck comes in, as does Nolan Potter. Richard Smith stays out, Ethan Lane opts into pit road again. And so you'll see a few more drivers cycle on to the lead lap as we are set to get back to business at about lap number 89. We'll head back at it in just a few laps here. Looks like 12 drivers on the lead lap as Ryan Bean has entered the stage as Mobile 1 Toyota Camry. First time tonight we've had a dozen drivers and only a dozen on the lead lap. Of course, 11 on the previous run. Bean is the first to get that lucky dog pass and put himself back in the system. Bean pulls up to the head of the field. Cody Smith sees them double file. It'll be an 88th lap, and it'll be Cody's second as the restart leader. Jared Davis has gotten himself up to third. Brad Patton has gone from 30th up to 4th place. Unbelievable. And Sam Nieto, who was involved in the first caution of this stretch that we've seen, he's now up to 6th. Ethan Lane takes 10th place, and now he's up there with the leaders. He doesn't have to go through the back of the pack. And it'll be Don Stevenson and, lastly, Ryan Bean of those who are in leading contention. Still, we got 28 drivers actively racing, so a majority of the field is still together. Cody Smith ready to grab a gear and get on the way. He so dominantly punched out to that start beforehand. I think the only expectation for him now is to do it again. Green flags out. Back on the move. It's the Chevrolet of Cody Smith. Then you'll have Jared Davis, John DeBarro, and Brad Patton toe-to-toe in 2x2, all working together. Front runners get away. Ethan Lane almost taking it 3 right there with Nicholas Ward and Blake Cannon. Just not enough room on the racetrack to do it. Back to business at the head of the field. A little bit dicier further back. Eric McFarland, Ryan Bean, Richard Smith, Aaron Eads all together here. Not a lot of contentious racing as they all put it together. And I think you're going to see another long green flag run as these guys are back in business. Just took a few laps to shake it out. And the fact that only 12 guys are on the lead lap right now also changes things because the atmosphere between these drivers is very different. Most drivers understand that they will not be fighting to get back on the lead lap anytime soon. And that just is what it is. We don't have the full uniform lap, of course, procedure. Getting everyone together, not a uniform lucky dog, so if you're behind, you stay behind unless you are in that lucky dog spot, which Zach Schrintenall is right now. Zach finding himself 13th, and he's got that position 91 laps in. It is him or no one. Ross Cato now running in 10th place, and since he finds himself now in the top 10, his rival on track, Matt Sizzler, far behind. It's a huge advantage now for the Cato crew as he could just run this race out and take a comfortable finish and gain overall. Matt Sizzler, who was up in front in the single digits early in the going, no longer the case. In fact, he runs 24th place, so 14 spots back on a rival in Cato. If Ross takes that position today, he's going to be in a lot better of a position for the points anyway, in the next 2 regular season races. It's Sizzler, Cato, and Jared Davis battling. If Jared Davis wins tonight, he locks himself in, and won't you look at who's in the lead? It's Jared himself. Davis to the points. He is beyond and behind the cut line, so a victory means everything for the number 19 team. Cody Smith and Blake Cannon battle alongside each other again. But Ethan Lane lurks, and he finds himself 4th, watching as everyone on the podium contends against each other. Take a look on board and ride with the number 6. Lane takes 3rd place, but as you can clearly see, the battle 1 spot ahead is where it's all at. Jared Davis is still just ahead now on Blake Cannon, but it's very likely that the 44 gets at least a lap or two with he himself in control. Blake to the inside, drops inward, and he'll let Jared Davis take the second groove. We'll see if pushing down to the inside is going to help out any further, because Blake Cannon right now is only about a half car length away. 98 laps in at 200 and coming toward the halfway marker. It is Jared Davis, Blake Cannon, and Ethan Lane running 1, 2, 3. Perhaps or shall we say, one of the biggest collections of talent, because it really could go any way. You got Davis, you got Cannon, Lane, Tarbuck, and there's so many great combinations, but right now we know for certain the 44 is up and in front again. 99 laps in at 200. Blake Cannon gets it there, and he's now looking to lead the field toward the end of this first half and take us the rest of the way. Cannon to the top side, Lane and Davis. Lane's got himself second and is only 2/10 back on Blake Cannon. Lap 101, 100 laps remaining. Halftime is passed. Blake Cannon leads. Jared Davis now falls back to third. And it looks like tonight Ethan Lane puts himself in that position again to go P2. Davis has now gained 6 places. Cannon 8. Ethan Lane has actually dropped back 1 spot, of course, as your pole sitter. For Lane, he is still chasing win number 9. That's the end goal. And Brad Patton is the hard charger of the day. 30th to 4th, up 26 on the night. Davis now seeing that gap cut to within 2 car lengths. Brad Patton looking to enter the podium for the first time tonight. Top 10 now split by 3 seconds. Sam Nieto, Ross Cato, the last battle of which hasn't really been much of an aggressive battle anyhow. Ross has remained 10th place. We haven't seen him actively move up to P9, at least so far, but undeniably, that could change. With 97 laps to go, still a lot of time on the table for both of these drivers, and you can see pretty clearly Cato has decided that the time is now to make a move and surge to the inside. Davis is further up and ahead, still third to Patton's 4th. Ross Cato with a critical move. He's got to watch out for that Jared Davis car, because any move that Jared Davis makes is going to cut down on his advantage in the playoff bubble. Let's talk about that playoff position that Ross Cato has in the entire top 15. 15 drivers are set to make their way into the playoffs for the 2025 Octane Series season, and as you can see, 6 drivers have locked themselves in. Ethan Lane with 8 wins, Tom Wetmore with 2, Blake Cannon, Jacob Fife, Nick Ward, and Brad Patton with 1 apiece. Then from there, you're going to have Brad Patton, of course, the final of which with a win. Nick Tarbuck is set to lock himself in tonight on points as he did yesterday in the Ignite Series. Nate Campbell is not too far behind, 105 points up on the cut, but this is where it gets contentious, because you're going to have Sam Nieto, who's less than 100 points up. Then you're going to have Cody Smith, 37 up. Don Stevenson, 28 up. Now, Matt Sisler is only 10 points ahead, and Nolan Potter is only 20 points up. Ross Cato's on the bubble, and he's got to deal with the fact that Jared Davis, John DeBarro, Zach Schrintenel, Brian Yazik, and Bobby Keith are all looking for a spot. Jared Davis, running third right now, might have the most realistic opportunity of taking one, and as you can see, this man right here in the number 19, he is in prime position to benefit off tonight more than perhaps anyone else around him. Davis gets up inside of the bubble tonight. I think he's also going to go up there while Ross Cato takes his spot. Matt Sizzler, who's in 22nd, he's in the worst position of all in that circumstance. 92 laps to go. Blake Cannon has kept Ethan Lane right behind him. Cody Smith stays 6th place. Nicholas Ward 7th. Nick Tarbuck now 3rd down to 8th, so maybe not the most successful of runs as he's fallen a little bit further back, but to be on the lead lap is almost an effectively guaranteed top 10. 11th and 12th are Don Stevenson and Ryan Bean, but otherwise, if you're up in front of that lead lap, you're a shoo-in for a great finish tonight, thanks to how strategy has gone down. Oh, side by side, Blake Cannon and Ethan Lane. Lane to the inside of Cannon, and this time around, the number 6 takes it back. Lane, looking for win number 9, has enough of it and takes the race lead into his own hands. So maybe a little bit longer than we expected from Ethan Lane, but at the very same time, it's been a back and forth race. Lane has taken the lead and Cannon has taken it back under green. And likewise, Cannon was able to snatch the advantage from Lane, and Ethan, coming from the back of this lead lap group, he's got the lead again. So I wouldn't say that either of these drivers have the opportunity to say that they're the clear-cut dominant man. It's been the back and forth between your top 2 juggernauts, and then the rest of the field follows. Blake Cannon, without a doubt, I'm sure would need this victory more when you think about it, but Ethan Lane is chasing after numbers that only he himself could match or even best. Ethan's 14 wins last year stand as the single-season record for the Octane Series, and he got 9th win on the horizon. 87 to go. Brad Patton stays 4th. John DeBarro 2/10 up on Cody Smith. Smith now back down to 6th where he qualified, of course restarting as the leader last 2 times around. I'll tell you this much, fighting for a top 5 is far from a bad place to be for the 18 team. John DeBarro has taken the inside groove, and that looks to be his more prominent line through the corners. But if you take this ride on board with Cody Smith, you'll see he has instead decided to make use of the middle, particularly through 3 and 4. Turns 1 and 2, he's going to take a little bit more of a traditional route. 84 laps to go, and very clearly Cody Smith trying something out different here, maybe trying to carve up a line. Not a lot of drivers have been taking it any higher than they absolutely need to. The bottom has been preferential. Cody Smith may be trying to find something there. And if he does, it could lead him back to the top 5. For the meanwhile, you got a few other battles for position here, which are harder to cover because they're 1 lap down. The intervals won't automatically show, but these are guys who are tight to each other. Just because they're off the lead lap does not mean that the fighting is done. Ryan Bean is the final driver off the lead lap. Tom Wetmore is just ahead of Kyle Cooper. That's the fight for 15th. .82 laps to go. Nolan Potter, 15th to 22nd, down 7 on the night, and this is the unfortunate part of having so many drivers put 1 lap down. I mean, these are guys who have top 15 performances going, but then you see the lap cycle. Pit stop strategy really messes guys up. You'll drop 5 or 10 positions if you're in the wrong place. That's the case for Potter, case for Sizzler. Matt gets up to 21st. Josh Gallagher now 20th to 20th on the night. And Richard Smith has solidly had an up-and-up day. And pretty quietly as well. 29th up to P19 for the number 23 car. 30th up to 4th goes Brad Patton. 22nd to 9th here, Ross Cato, as Cody Smith is toe-to-toe with John DeBarro. It looks like working that middle groove has its benefits. He's side-by-side through 3. Coming out of turn 4, and it's all his. Just lunge it into the opening corner, which he does. Cody Smith takes 5th. .79 laps to go. Nicholas Ward now has Nick Tarbuck right behind him. Ward has been on a streak of very, very good performances, of course, coming back from the All-Star break, coming away with the podium after getting through for a top 3 in the All-Star race as well. Ward has slowly but surely had sort of a breakout season. Maybe the numbers don't show it in terms of quantity of victory, and I'll tell you this much, it's hard to win in this series. He has 1 win, which is tied for the 3rd most, but he's quietly gotten up there for podiums, top 5 performances, and consistent top 10s. Now, I think that's the most impressive thing. Ward has taken that 2024 season as a little bit of a driving run that was on the back burner, not his style with the Gen 4, and bringing it back to the next gen where he's more confident. And it looks like so far, just having that return to the comfortability of this car has really helped out. But Nick Tarbuck wants position. Nick on Nick to the inside goes Tarbuck in the 4. For P7, Tarbuck takes it. .76 laps remaining. Nick Tarbuck taking the spot over Ward, while John DeBarro now runs 6th. Brad Patton still has about a second's worth of room on Cody Smith. That time by, he was a 1/10 of a second slower. Brad Patton is the first driver outside the playoffs here. Still, of course, shall we say, outside the podium. He's locked into the playoffs, but outside of this fight for the lead. Jared Davis stays 3rd. He's got about a half second relative to Brad Patton, and you'll see right now, it looks like really no clear battle between the two. That really hasn't become much of anything. Take a look aboard, and briefly, from Ethan Lane's back-end perspective, we'll see what's going on now as he's got 7/10 of a lead to Blake Cannon. Caution is out, and it looks like this time around we got retirees. Taking a look at what happened, and quickly to pit road, Brock Potter to the inside. And it looks like he's had damage for a while now. But an incident brings us back to another slowdown period. Watch this. And taking a look at the back of the field to figure out what it was as the caution flies. Front of the field looked to be just fine, and this might be a late thrown caution as you saw the smoke billowing from the Potter car. That was Brock Potter, and by the time he comes down and in, the yellow flag not out, but it does indeed fly. Taking a look at the tail end of the field, the mid-pack as well, and this is just before the yellow flag falls. We see Brock Potter's incident, but otherwise no clear indicator as to what just happened. Frontrunners got away well as drivers go down to pit road right now, so it's going to be another cycle with 71 laps remaining. Down the front and back straightaway, continuously watching as we ensure everything's all right for the entire field here. And it looks like nothing too indicative of what happened. Nevertheless, for Brock Potter, As he came down to pit road, he's been there for a while now. The yellow flag is out. Ethan Lane gonna cycle up in front with Blake Cannon, the only man ahead of him. Yellow flag flies, caution's out, and we're still rolling here with 71 laps to go. We're going back one more time to figure out that incident. Caution flies, I think we've got a better read on it now compared to what it was before. And the contact coming down the back straightaway, and it looks like it's going to be not Brock Potter, but instead Nolan Potter. So the Potters with consecutive troubles. Here's what happens to Skittles number 34. With contact from Cody Smith, sliding to the inside, Nolan Potter done away with there as the field is set to go to green. 70 laps to go, 69 laps remaining. Up next, it'll be Cannon and Lane, positions 1 and 2 to get back to business. Pace car ducks low. Now 70 laps to go. That pit stop cycle right there could have been our final of the night. Blake Cannon up on top of Lane. Green flags out again with 69 laps remaining. Cannon pulls it out one car length and finds himself leading again. Single file train down the alley, all the way down to P10 and Sam Nieto. You'll have Ryan Bean 11th, Don Stevenson in 12th, Nate Campbell 13th, and now 16 drivers are on the lead lap, Kyle Cooper being the very last of which here. So now more than half the field is on the lead lap for the first time in about 45 laps. Good to see, at long last, a little bit more competition. Brad Patton is in third place here in the number 7 for the very first time. 67 laps to go. He's up there, and the top 3 might give him a real shot to fight for what could be back-to-back wins. Cody Smith 4th, Jared Davis 5th, Nick Tarbuck 6th, DeBarro 7th, Ward 8th. And they're all running together here. Ross Cato was able to elevate himself up to a comfortable 9th place, taking 10th from that last run and pulling it further. 66 laps to go. And it still looks like it's going to be Ross on the up and up. Matt Sizzler remains outside of lead lap territory in 21st place. And it's that difference of being on the lead lap and off it that is everything. Cato down low for another spot. Ross takes it up there for 8th. And another spot made at the very same time. Ethan Lane and Blake Cannon again go jockeying for position. Blake is now looking for his 3rd time reclaiming the lead under green. Ethan trying to defend once again. Brad Patton watching and waiting. They've not yet made any contact, these two. But if push comes to shove, you know first and foremost who's going to be looking for that quick move right around. Lane stays high. Cannon's got it down low. Clamping on the number 44, Ethan Lane is able to maintain position. All the while, Tarbuck gets to the inside on Cody Smith. Ethan Lane, I'll tell you this much, 0.2 of a second with 62 laps to go. If we stay under green, losing the lead once, even if it comes to the next 20-some laps, could be pivotal. We've seen in these last few longer runs that whoever has the lead after the first 30 or so laps is usually the driver who carries it out until the next period of interruption, whether or not it's going down a pit road or if it's instead perhaps a caution. If you have it by the 30-lap mark of the stint, which for these guys would be in some now 20 or so laps, with the 40-lap to go marker, that's when you know who clearly is going to hang on for the position for the rest of the run. Ethan Lane now has the edge, but if he burns up his tire quickly, it could very well be Cannon with that better position at that point of no return. And when the long run kicks in, you can't get your tires back. .60 laps to go. 7th down to 14th. That's going to be Tom Wetmore's race. Back on the lead lap, but it looks like right now just disconnected from the top 10 conversations, so he can't really make any immediate gains. Still an opportunity if things get broken up the right way for the rest of strategy, but so far anyhow, Tom still finds himself off the top 15. Zach Schrintenall is 15th. Kyle Cooper, 16th and the last man on that lead lap. But as you look up and ahead again, DeBarro and Nicholas Ward, 8th and 9th. And Sam Nieto holds P10. Davis being in 4th is going to really help him out in getting up to the back end of the bubble. 58 laps to go. Coming to 57 next up. And it's all Lane now with a half-second edge. Comfortable position to be in if you're Lane. Of course, Blake Cannon might have one extra trick up his sleeve, but we've yet to see it. Lap times in the 24s. Full fall off would give these guys almost 2 tires, or rather 2 laps of degradation. Speaking of 2 tires, we might see a 2-tire strategy call made by someone later in this race. If there's a caution in the final 20 laps, don't be surprised if that's what happens. That could be a driver's ticket to getting the lead and trying to make an alternate strategy work. It worked in Las Vegas for Jacob Fife. That's the type of move you got to make when you are desperate to enter the playoffs. Tarbuck ahead of John DeBarro. John still winless so far this season. He might be one of those guys who would need it. Nate Campbell to the high side of Nieto. He'll make the pass for P10. .55 laps to go and counting down. Ross Cato, number 12, 22nd up to 7th. So not only the fact that he's been able to keep it inside the top 10, but also the fact that he finds himself gaining that much. 15 places. And it could only get better for him. The night is not over. Cody Smith is still up in front. So with that said, Ross doesn't have any reason to give up, and he's already outdone his expectations. .53 laps to go. Nick Tarbuck, Jared Davis. Looks like Davis has the edge in 4th anyway. Brad Patton going for back-to-back podiums after starting 30th. I mean, a remarkable ride, I'll tell you this much. Very little else can be done right now for Brad Patton but to cruise where he is. That's what he's done, and it would be the best 2-race stretch of his season. A win and a 3rd-place finish. And I would say this 3rd-place finish maybe even a more impressive run to go from the back of the field and take it all the way up into this conversation. He got into the top 10 under green, mind you. So he's done a lot more work in the hardest situation and just gone up from there. Blake Cannon now 8/10 off. Ethan Lane's got it made. John DeBarro, 17th to 10th. Even with Nate Campbell getting by him, has made some gains here. But he's got some pressure. Sam Nieto would like to let him know that staying in the top 10 is a privilege. It's not a guarantee. Let's see what happens here as Nieto tries to lay down the law on the number 61. DeBarro's trying to pull some power away for the number 2, and it looks like over the last lap he has done just that. 24.498 as they pass the pace car right there. Will far supersede Sam Nieto's 24.695, so he'll pull 2.5 tenths right there. That's a good quarter second, and not only does he pull it on Nieto, he'll get away from Ryan Bean. John DeBarro is still in a tricky position championship-wise. He's 24 points off of the cut line, which means he's sitting in 17th place right now behind Jared Davis. Evidently, Jared Davis had a better race. I mean, he's running up inside the 4th position. So for DeBarro, it's going to be hard because he is the second man from the outside looking in. And I don't think he has the stuff to beat Jared Davis consistently. Could happen. That's without a doubt, but he would need a little bit more luck on his side, and he would definitely need a better performance tonight for me to really say that he's got the stuff to do it and beat that number 19. And I don't think that's going to be possible, and if he finishes behind Davis tonight, I don't think that's where his focus should be. I think instead that he's going to have to look toward just being better than everyone else there, particularly Ross Cato and Matt Sisler. He has to outdo them both on a consistent basis. Right now, he is only ahead of Sisler, and Ross Cato's gotten the better of him. 45 laps to go. DeBarro needs to keep that in mind. He's maybe the second man on the outside looking in, but he's got to beat the 2 drivers up and ahead. One down to pit road, that was Kyle Cooper. Cooper locks it in. He's going to go for his final pit stop of the day, and it looks like for him, it's not an unscheduled stop, but it's going to cost him from a competitive finish. .44 remaining. Nicholas Ward still out there. John DeBarro still doing good. Sam Nieto more of the same. The drivers outside the lead lap are still battling, but many of which right now found their own groove and gotten away from one another. Matt Sisler sees Tom Wetmore coming up on him. Wetmore is now the final driver on the lead lap and most in jeopardy of being put one down. Tom Wetmore watching as his teammate goes out there and continues to fight for the race win, but as of late, Blake Cannon, as he's halfway across the track, doesn't seem to have the stuff to catch up to Ethan Lane. Of course, Lane is pulled out to leads only to be reeled back in, as has Cannon, but so far it looks like we're going to need a little bit more consistency out of the 44 team to really have the stuff and get there. That time by, Ethan Lane was 3/1000ths of a second quicker, as we're seeing drivers signal again they're going down and in. Those are the guys off the lead lap, including Tom Wetmore and John Steele. It was a 24.567 for Ethan Lane that time by. Blake Cannon was 1/10 of a second quicker. Slight gains, but he would need to gain at that rate consistently for 10 to 15 laps to have an opportunity to make a pass. .39 to go. 24.498 ahead and quicker than Cannon that time by. It's a back and forth run, and I think it's pretty clear right now. Neither of them are clearly quicker, but Lane was able to aggressively build up that gap, and now that they're about identical, it doesn't really matter what happens there. Top 12 guys are all very well settled in. Now we only have 13 on the lead lap as Tom Wetmore decides to make it through. For 4 tires and fuel, Tom drops in. That leaves us with far less on the lead lap. 38 laps to go. Your top 10 so far goes as follows, with Ethan Lane leading the way, Blake Cannon running second, and Brad Patton in P3. Jared Davis is fourth, but that might change as Nick Tarbuck gets to the inside. Here comes the 4, sliding in. And here you have it. Nick Tarbuck dropping low. And he's got Jared Davis right to his outside. .37 laps remaining, and Davis, almost hitting the outside retainer there. That could have been horrible. Luckily, he'll get away from that one unscathed and continues fighting on. Cody Smith, 6th to 6th. And it could be a top 5 now. As we mentioned, he has been looking, and it's taken a while, but he's caught up to Jared Davis. Take a ride. Davis looks like easy pickings now. Watch what happens. Toe-to-toe against the number 19, Cody Smith. So quickly makes his way into the picture. Davis in the wall, brushes it up once and twice, still keeps with it. That time around, round 1 of this fight, Jared Davis gets the edge. But I don't think that Cody Smith is quit. He's only going to take that approach and do it a little bit differently this time. Smith to the inside. Cody Smith gets it to the bottom. And now, it's going to be side by side again. Second time. Let's see if he learns from some previous mistakes here. You don't want to see contact. Smith washes up the circuit. They've been bumper to bumper, front to back for the majority of this fight, side by side briefly, twice over, and the Next Level Racing Chevrolet skates up to the top of the circuit. Third time might just be the charm now because Cody Smith looks consistently quicker. He's gotten up to the back end of the number 19 in Davis. I mean, now, so quickly, multiple times over. That's not just a brief advantage or mistakes on Davis's side, but I think right now, Cody Smith has the equipment under him to do the job and make those positions his. Very unlikely he messes this one up. And even if he doesn't take the pass, I would be hard-pressed to say Cody won't get ahead briefly. He's gotten side by side, and as long as he doesn't tear himself apart, making an attempt on the pass that works out would be perhaps the most likely outcome. That's going to help out Nick Tarbuck here because Nick had the pressure from Jared Davis, and with what we've seen as of late, of course, recently, it looks like things have turned around. This race coming toward its close with 30 laps remaining, and the tightest battle on the racing circuit remains between Davis and Cody Smith. Nobody else particularly close otherwise. Blake Cannon has shed a 10th off the lead for Ethan Lane. "29 laps remaining." Watching as Don Stevenson and Ryan Bean have the second tightest battle on track. This is for the 12th position. Ryan Bean would like to have it, and for the time being, it looks like it's all the number 47. Don Stevenson has been able to hang on real strong. Don holds on to the final spot of the top dozen. Nick Tarbuck hangs on for 4th. Davis has still not been moved by Cody Smith just yet. John DeBarros, 17th to 9th now, has gained 8 places. So Nicholas Ward is going to fall behind him. Jared Davis is the only driver in that bubble battle that he is not going to outpace tonight, unless Davis makes a major mistake, which could very well happen, but so far we've seen no signs to indicate that will be the case. Cody Smith, though, would like to say hello again. The 18 to the inside. Nearly contact. Davis scrapes the wall. And it's a miracle again. These two drivers don't end up destroying each other. Cody Smith working down low. He's kept Jared Davis pinned up to the high side of the racetrack. 26 laps to go here. Jared gets away, at least this time around, but things could change. All the while, nothing has at the head of the field, and Ethan Lane looks poised to go for what could be win number 9 on the season. It will be his 7th victory and his 9th win. Of course, his victory in qualifying, his 7th pole position, coming with his 9th race win as they're side by side again. Cody Smith now having the edge over Jared Davis. Long time coming. The 18 takes hold. 24 laps to go. Matt Sizzler brings it to the inside no longer. He'll take it up top, let the leaders go by, and Matt again falling back. He is in 20th place, so he has gained a few positions, but staying one lap down has severely limited his competition up in front, and it means that his ceiling for tonight is a lot lower than most others. He's 3 laps down now, as a matter of fact, and with damage, Ross Cato will get by him. "22 laps to go." Thanks to our friends at Whiplash SimCams, the cameras tonight, the camera angles have been remarkable, and that's how it's been all year long here for the Integrity Racing League. We'd like to thank our friends at Whiplash SimCams and Pitstop TV for welcoming us to the Whiplash family, and for any broadcaster at any level, there's no reason not to try. Free camera packs are available on their Discord server, and if you'd like any camera pack, car or track, $5 a piece, you can have it. No licensing fee necessary, and that's how it's gone from beginning to end. We'd like to thank our friends at Whiplash SimCams for their continued support. Let's take a ride on board with a few drivers and crank it up as we come toward our final 20 laps and get loud and proud from Dover, Delaware. "15 laps remaining. Ethan Lane holds the fort. Blake Cannon runs in second. Brad Patton going to be P3. And as it stands, 15 laps remaining, 0.8 of a second the distance, and the difference between your podium sitters. Blake Cannon is now just about a half second away from leader Ethan Lane. Ethan Lane only having to deal with lap traffic for the time being here as Brad Patton takes it up to second place. You see him get by Blake Cannon right there. As quickly as he does it, it's going to be second place for Patton after winning last week. Again, he qualified 30th today, chose not to take a qualifying lap, and it looks like those intentional setbacks have not really put this number 17 behind. Instead, he's looking about as strong as he did last week, if not stronger. Time is running out, and I think that's going to be the only thing that really sets him back. But last time by, Brad was 0.2 of a second faster than Ethan Lane. And someone has lit a fuse under this 7 team because he is coming in and quick. 12 laps remaining. Ethan Lane might just have to watch his back because within 0.3 of a second, here comes Patton. Brad, chasing down the back straightaway, has cut the distance more than any other driver has within the last 50 laps. He won last week, qualified in 30th place, and the expectation was that after more than a year away from victory lane, that he would not be able to do it again so soon. Only 7 days later, and with 10 laps to go, Brad Patton thinks otherwise. He'll slide out of control, and there goes his shot for the lead. Brad Patton was only 86 thousandths of a second away and just gave up an opportunity for victory. Here comes Nick Tarbuck at the very same time. Wow. Oh, for Brad Patton, what a way to go out, and maybe the worst way. He was so close, and time will not do him favors. He runs 5th. Meanwhile, Nick Tarbuck getting ahead of Ethan Lane. Watch what happens as we pull the lead pass back. While Patton falters, Tarbuck surges through. If he gets the job done tonight, it will be his first win of the year. Nick has not yet gotten to victory lane, and while he looked tonight to lock himself into the playoffs no matter what, with 7 laps to go, take a look at this. He's got the final shot, and he's been waiting for this opportunity for months. Nick Tarbuck won at this track in 2023 and is looking to become the first 2-time winner at Dover in the Octane Series. Your 2024 winner runs in 3rd place, but with 6 laps to go, there's not enough time to catch up. Nick now has more than a second lead, and Ethan Lane falters late. The caution's out. The yellow flag flies for Blake Cannon. Oh, what a development, and he makes contact with Cody Smith. Take a lap back and watch what happens. We're going to be sent to overtime off of this one. Blake Cannon was ahead of Cody Smith at the time of incident. And as he comes up the track, minor contact with Richard Smith takes him down and in, and hit by Cody Smith. Now, what's that going to mean in the field? Are they going to go down to pit road, or will they decide to stay out on the circuit? Is it track position or a drive-in? We're only going to have 2 laps of racing left after this. I think we're going to see 2-top strategy. I think we're going to see a new driver come out of pit road as the winner. We'll see if I'm right. And we will see if the field decides to defy expectations. Pit road exit camera, we're locked in on seeing who makes it through first. Not everyone going in, but those leaders have all decided to do so in unison. It'll be Tarbuck coming in with Ethan Lane, Cody Smith there as well after the damage. Who comes out first? That is the biggest question. Nicholas Ward, that's what we expected. An outlier gets ahead. While Tarbuck and Lane break through, Ward just did what everyone was thinking, but only one person does it best. 2-tire strategy, and the 97 is out in the head for a 2-lap dash. At the 5-lap-to-go marker of every race, the point of no return, the green-white checkered, the overtime finish. And so, with that being said, It looks like we're right on the borderline where this is a natural green-white checkered, but not an overtime attempt, which means that if there is a caution from here, the race will be extended, and it will be our very first overtime extent of the day. We have 3 attempts available. We can extend it further, but it looks like right now that will not be necessary. Side by side between Sam Nieto and Nicholas Ward. Ward deciding to take full control. He's the control car on the high side. Sam Nieto also getting the best opportunity he's had all night long to win this race. I cannot believe what happened there for Brad Patton. Now, his race is not over, of course. Got new rubber now, but he was less than 1/10 of a second away from the lead and just bobbled at the worst possible time. Maybe not the worst possible time, though, because the caution just came out. And so he's got that as a saving grace. 2 miles, 2 laps, 1 more chance. Nicholas Ward looked for his 2nd win on the season, but Sam Nieto, oh my... Can you believe it? Caution is out? Wow. We didn't even get a foot there. We're going to overtime. He didn't even cross the start-finish line. Wow. I mean... that is unbelievable. We've seen it happen before, but never have we seen the wheel spin come in so fast, and it just decimates the field immediately. We're going to take this from a wider angle. We're going to take the entire lap from a wider angle, in fact, and figure out what exactly that just was. I mean, that was something else. 1 lap to green. They were all coming together. You can see the lappers going by, and these 2 double file look to be just fine. And as they were, the entire field came together. So most of these guys are going to make it out for reference. Nick Tarbuck now has control over the field with Cody Smith and Ethan Lane in that top 3. It looks like that changed a little bit. Brad Patton there. Nicholas Ward is still up in front. Ward, however, had to duck and dodge to number 2 as so quickly Sam Nieto and Lane had problems. And that's where I'm confused. We saw Lane slide. How bad was his incident? We're going to find out right now. Sam Nieto drops to the end of the lead lap. Watch what happens. The outcome wasn't much of a shocker, but I think how fast that happens. It catches everyone off guard. Yep, Nieto right off the line. There was no contact. He just slid. Ward buckled and got loose, but it's actually the fact that he got loose and slowed down saved him. Nieto kisses the wall, and Ethan Lane at the very same time. A little bit of contact from Nate Campbell. He ends up being slowed down. Don Stevenson on the high side will get away. And Lane just rubbed by the number 45. And very lucky not to get hit otherwise. I mean, that was a shocker. Our first overtime attempt of the day as we're coming toward 1 lap to green. 2 laps of racing available. We have a yellow flag. The field will have its race extended for a 2nd overtime attempt. If we get to the white flag, this race is official and it ends no matter what. Cody Smith is on the inside of the front row with significant damage. I don't know if that's going to play out all too well, but they're going to let it slide. Two laps remaining, 2 miles remaining. For the second time, we're in a very similar position. Hopefully Cody Smith's damage here isn't indicative that he's going to have any problems. Brad Patton and Nicholas Ward are now the second row. Nate Campbell and Ross Cato are alongside each other, and for the first time all night long, looks like Cato has outright advantage over Jared Davis. We'll see if that plays out to the checkered flag as Tarbuck gets the edge. 2 laps to go, and your 2023 winner wants to double up. Ethan Lane takes the high side and with a little bit more trouble this time around. He finds himself up there. Cody Smith, double overtime. Caution is out again. Let's find out why. So we're going to our second overtime attempt of the night. And as you can see here, we've got troubles. As the field puts itself together, look one more time and watch what happened. John DeBarro looking isolated after that start. Yup, contact with DeBarro skating up high. And as he does so, comes back into Shrintenall and plowed, turned right over. 180 degrees, a half spin for DeBarro. And a pretty bad half spin at that, I'll tell you what. Started with Ward, that's why Lane skated up the track. Then into Shrintenall, caution's out. Second overtime attempt of the day. Very quickly, we are heading toward overtime number 2. We're going to finish this race at or around lap 209 at the earliest. Nick Tarbuck has the advantage over Brad Patton. There's Blake Cannon. Cannon is looking to get 1 lap back. He is 4 down as it stands in 21st place. 14 on the lead lap according to timing and scoring, the last of which being John DeBarro in the DraftKings number 61. So long as he holds out from here, he shouldn't have an issue taking a top 15. I think that's almost guaranteed in this position. Nate Campbell in third, the best he's run all night. Qualified very strong, but a front row starter has dropped back down the ladder for the majority of this race, bottom half of the top 10, and yet, through the attrition, he's now right where he needs to be. Nicholas Ward settles for 4th here. The cautions have not done him any favors, which is not the expectation. Usually when a driver goes for that risky 2-tire call, if they can stay up in front, the cautions will benefit them. Not this time. Here we go. As we are set to restart for lap 207, we'll end at lap 208 if we stay green. iRacing official pace car is going to set those lights off, and it's going to be side by side between Brad Patton and Nick Tarbuck one more time. Of course, Patton close to going for 2 consecutive wins. The first of which last week in Atlanta, and the second, well, it could just be tonight. What happened first off? He and Ethan Lane toe-to-toe. If you missed it, that was 5 laps to go in our regulation racing. Patton almost took the lead and slid out of control. Right now, though, he is ahead of Lane, and only one driver is in his way. That's the number 4 up top. Tarbuck up high, Patton down low, green, flags out. 2 laps remaining. Oh my goodness. We're going to triple overtime. Wow. Oh, this one's even worse. This is the second incident exactly like this. Brad Patton I mean, there's not much else to say except shades of Sam Nieto. We're pulling it right back to the moment of impact. Patton gets loose, and it's game over from there. Brad has had issues with those tires tonight, and it looks like a victory will not be coming a calling for the 7 team. Nate Campbell rockets up to the top of the track. Brad Patton, of course, did more of the same. Sam Nieto gets away, and Patton is just plowed into by the 97 of Ward. Ross Cato slows down to avoid. He should be able to get out of it. And then Campbell, uncontrollably anyway, comes down to the bottom of the track. Richard Smith is sent up. Davis is plowed. Schrintenel into Patton. Nicholas Ward gets right side damage and hits the outside wall. Ross Cato has to weasel his way out of there. Wow. So with that said, this is your third and final overtime attempt. Whatever happens, happens. That's the way it rolls as we get to this point in the race. This will be the final opportunity for drivers to finish the job no matter what goes on. Caution flag, race is over, and we will end under yellow. Scoring loops will determine who finished first, and so on and so forth. If we get to the white flag, race is over regardless. We're going to run to the checkered flag. Ethan Lane is now in second place. He fell back to as far back as 6th, and with the restarts being so rapid, again, he's had no time to make moves. All the wrecks have done it for him. We'll see now whether or not we finish under this third overtime or if the caution flag does it for us. We've already seen one instance this year in which the yellow flag has determined the race. This third overtime, it is do or die. I don't believe we're going to see the yellow flag thrown, regardless of what happens here. Just going to try to let him finish out under green, no matter what. Nick Tarbuck has chosen the top side as your control car. He will battle against Ethan Lane. Nick is looking for his first win. Ethan Lane is looking for his 9th. Lane's status has been remarkable on the Octane Series side because now, with, of course, 14 victories last year, 1 win in 2023, and 8 wins to this point, he is going to be looking to be the only driver who's got more than 20 wins and go toward win number 25 of the Octane Series. That's the end goal of the night. Tarbuck up top. Lane down low. Nicholas Warden, surprisingly, Brad Patton is still on the second row. I'm not sure if that's a good omen for anyone. John Stevenson backs up. Rest of the field shatters behind, but with 2 laps to go, we're underway for triple overtime. Nick Tarbuck gets a car length and a half out, and it's go big or go home for Nick. He won at this venue 2 years ago. It's been a long time coming to see Tarbuck come to victory lane, but he's got to go for 1 more mile. Final lap from Dover, Delaware. Ethan Lane is surging. Ethan, through turns 1 and 2, cuts the gap down now to 1/10 of a second. He'll have to lunge in fast and furious for one final shot. Lane instead chooses to go high. Tarbuck puts on the defense, and there's nothing more the Ream Machine can do. Nick Tarbuck, for the first time this year, wins at Dover. Finally taking it to victory lane. He is one of only 2 drivers who can claim victory in 2023, 2024, and 2025. And he's a 2-time winner from the Monster Mile. A long time coming, this will officially punch the ticket for the Ford team into the playoffs. Brad Patton goes for back-to-back podiums. Ethan Lane takes second place. Triple overtime, and as chaotic as it came, Nick Tarbuck outlasts them all, and he took the lead for the first time with 7 laps to go in regulation. And now, after outlasting 13 laps worth of overtime racing, he's officially a winner again. And he's as ready as ever to celebrate. One motor just blew. Was it Nick's? And now he's set to celebrate. Been a slow but sure run around the circuit, as Tarbuck has decided not yet to burn it down, but take himself for a Polish victory lap. At least in part. Four-time race winner last year, and a member of the Big Three, Nick reminded everyone tonight of what he's still capable of, although he looks like he's having a little trouble putting his celebration on. Now he's getting down to business. What a night from Dover. Exciting for certain at the very end, and maybe a little bit more surprising, we went to triple overtime for the Monster Mile, but it's a track with its challenges, and tonight only one driver overcame them to the fullest. That man is Nick Tarbuck, who led 18 laps on the day. Ethan Lane, pole sitter with most laps led, 114 laps. It's the second consecutive night he leads the most laps, but doesn't end up winning. He'll finish second off a pole position, and Brad Patton goes from 30th up to 3rd to keep the good times rolling despite being involved in that final caution. He still makes it work. Jared Davis goes 4th place, and you'll have Nicholas Ward in 5th, Ryan Bean 6th, and Ross Cato P7, with 8th and Sam Nieto, 9th and Don Stevenson, and Cody Smith wrapping up the top 10. 11th place goes Bobby Keith with 12th, Aaron Eads, 13th place Josh Gallagher, 14th is Matt Sizzler, Kyle Cooper, P15, Richard Smith 16th, Randy Fiash 17th, and Tom Wetmore 18th. 19th is John DeBarro with B20, Nate Campbell. Your final drivers go as follows with 49 laps led for Blake Cannon. 22nd, that's going to be Eli Cars behind the 21st place man in Cannon. Zach Schrintenall 23rd, Jacob Fife 24th, John Steele P25, and Nolan Potter 26th. Eric McFarland is 27th and Brock Potter's 28th, with Casey Shue 29th and Brian Yazik 30th. 31st is Woody Mahan, and Brant McClendon finishes 32nd and last on the night. This is a team that's been looking for victory, and I am going to tell you this much. it's pretty simple that if any driver is deserving of finally getting back to victory lane, the results have been speaking for themselves since Nick Tarbuck last got to the checkered flag. Top 5 in points last year in both series, top 5 in both points currently in the Ignite Series and the Octane Series at once, and he's already running second in the regular season championship, so a win was always expected to be on the table, but it came with only 7 laps to go. You got the opportunity to take the lead, Nick, and with those triple overtime chaotic moments, you still didn't look back, and finally you're back on top.
Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie. Near the end there, after the long run we had to the end, and I had an insane tire advantage, it was going to be an easy win, I thought, and I was just hoping everybody keep it clean. And then, of course, it just never works out that way. I was fuming behind the mic, not gonna lie. And then every other restart after restart after restart, it's just like, can we please get this thing going so I can get a little bit of a gap? And then, of course, at the end, it's like facing the final boss. You have Ethan Lane lined up next to you, and it's like, how the heck is this going to play out to where I lose this race after having such an advantage? But luckily, I just had, I don't know if it was adrenaline or just whatever got into me there at the end, but I just was racing for my life there. I mean, it's Dover, it's my home track. I needed to get a win to just say I got one this season, so it's great that it all lined up the way it did, but man, it was tough.
Now, interestingly, this is your second win at Dover in the Octane Series. You came to victory lane spring of 2023. We're checking back through the archives and realized that both times the Next Gen has been here, you've come away ahead of everyone else. Something about this track has been clicking with you. You just mentioned it's your home track, but is there anything with your style of racing here that's really worked out?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's about the style of racing or what it is, but I mean, if I'm bored, I just hop on and do Dover hot laps. If I'm doing anything, it's at Dover, whether it's for fun or whatever. So I just have a lot of laps here. So this is the most practice I've ever had at a track, probably. I really do like the methodical, like keeping the car low, trying to just get momentum and keep the tires under it here. It's just such a fun track, really, to race, and it's just it's just a track that is, you have to drive well to do well at Dover. I feel like it's just a great track in real life and in the sim. So I don't know. I think it's just the fact that I've got so many laps here. It kind of helps out on weeks like this.
And the experience pays off. Even before the restarts came into that crazy fashion, you caught up to and passed Ethan Lane. And from what we heard anyway, you're pretty confident you would have finished it off like that regardless.
Yeah, I know, definitely. I mean, Cody was coming pretty quick. He got held up a little bit. But both Blake and Ethan had no tire left, and I was just going to walk away for the last 6 laps. I mean, there's no doubt, unless I made a mistake. So that really fed the unhappiness that I had for when all these cautions started happening, because it was just like it's like all the stars were aligning for me to win at my home track, get a win, finally this season, and then it's just like one by one, it's like obstacles kept popping up, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, can we just get a clean restart? Like, we're wrecking for, I don't know. I can't say much, but yeah, I'm just glad it all worked out for me getting a win at the end. I mean, that was, man, I think I woke my son up screaming so loud.
Well, what a celebration, and one that's been well-deserved for a long while now. Locked into the playoffs. The next 2 weeks aren't going to be much of a concern. You had a good points buffer anyway, but until then, we've got Indianapolis coming up next. That'll be the Brickyard. You got any final shout-outs or comments you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, man, looking forward to the Brickyard. That's always a fun track. It's good, I like long straights, tight turns, pretty fun. But thank you for broadcasting as always. Definitely going to watch this one back. Thanks to the admins for putting on a good race. Thanks to my mom, my dad, my wife, boys back home, everybody who watched. Finally got a win for y'all, so glad y'all could hopefully tune in for that one. I do want to just, again, anybody in Discord who was feeling my wrath, I apologize, but this winning here means a lot to me, really. So I really wanted to get it done and bring it home. So just, thanks again, man.
Nick Tarbuck gets the job done, and victory coming back to Dover. 2 wins now for the Monster Mile for the 4 team here. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
Nick Tarbuck gets on the way as Ethan Lane gets back to the podium, and for the second straight night, the pole and the most laps led just can't translate it at the very finish. And the difference maker, I think, Ethan, those overtime runs, just a tenth and a half off when all is said and done.
No, I think the difference maker was me pushing the living crap out of the tires those last 60 laps. Yeah, I don't know if I could have done anything different to save tires. I wasn't very good at it tonight for whatever reason. Once when at the start of the race, bright red burnt off, and once the track got rubbered in, I was just way too tight. But we'll take a second. It's what we wanted to continue heading into the regular season championship. I think we lost a little bit onto Nick since he won tonight, but congrats to him. Much deserved. Also hated for Brad because he was flying there at the end too.
Now, first and foremost, tonight was an all-around success by the numbers, the pole position and leading laps all throughout. For the first half of the race, it looked like a back-and-forth joust between you and Blake Cannon, both of you exchanging the lead back and forth. Now, I'll tell you this much, we don't often see that at Dover here. You two were going at it, switching places back and forth without the cautions coming in play. How was it during that first fight, which looked to be the closest under green?
It was fun. Track was green, so we were burning the tires a little more, so I guess that kind of made up for it. But no, Blake had us on the long run there. I had nothing. But yeah, like I don't know. It was fun though. I enjoyed it tonight. Just wish the set didn't get as tight as it did during that last run, but we'll move on.
With that said, triple overtimes beforehand, that ends up, of course, getting you to that second place spot. You were up and down, sometimes outside of the top five. You think if anything else maybe went your way, you could have gotten the win there?
I don't know. If I made a couple different moves compared to Tarbuck there on that last lap, maybe. But with how aero dependent these cars are now, I don't know if I could have gotten them.
Well, either way, strong result to keep the good times rolling with another pole position and leading the regular season standings, and that's been the way it is majority of the season. Indianapolis up next. How are you feeling about a return to the Brickyard?
Feeling good. Hopefully, we won there earlier this year in the Integrity or not Integrity, the Ignite series. So hopefully we can repeat. Clean air is gonna be very important. So we'll see how it goes.
Ethan Lane, second place on the night here from Dover, Delaware. Anything else you'd like to leave us with before we head toward Indiana?
Just thank you for putting on these broadcasts. Everyone in Integrity Night was fun. Granted, up until those last 15 laps, but it happens. We move on. We go to Indianapolis and try to get our ninth win.
Ethan Lane looking for win number 9 on the schedule, just one spot short for the Monster Mile. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Now, for Brad Patton, it's an interesting case of perhaps the exact opposite of a night that we expected from him, especially with the win last week. Starting at the back of the field and in 30th, coming up to third place, even despite the late race incidents. It looks like off the Brad Patton bingo card, everything was hit, but you still came away with a solid run, even despite the trouble.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to call it a deserved but undeserved top 3. Feel like I had a car that could possibly win the race there at the end, and then it just stepped out on me on that second to last restart. So I apologize to whoever got involved in that, but it was a fun race. It took some time to gain some positions, and I'm tired.
Well, without a doubt, it was a pretty long race, and those 3 overtimes didn't really do you any favors there. But you had to claw through the field. You gained more than 20 places in the first stint, and it's not an easy track to pass at Dover. Everyone's fighting for one groove, and it's a grader when it comes to tires, too. So how did you maintain the pace while going upstairs through the lineup?
Yeah, it was just one car at a time. From there, it was just picking the right spots to pass people, letting the tires come to me. Normally, I burn the tires up, but it actually worked out tonight in my favor.
And with that early run being so successful, it gave you the shot to keep on moving up through the way. Now, it looks like you got a little bit lucky with the overtimes in this one sense, because with a few laps remaining in regulation, you and Ethan side by side, and you just slide out of line while you were getting up to him there. You think if that didn't happen, tonight's race could have gone a little different?
I wasn't even paying attention to what you said. What'd you say?
If there was a chance where, with about 7 laps to go, where you and Ethan Lane were side by side, if you didn't slide just a little out of order, you think it could have been yours for 2 straight weeks?
Yeah, once I got below him there, he said that I clipped like the apron part of the track, and right from there, I was just trying to salvage the top 5 after that. But I had a good feeling that once I was getting by Blake and he was having a little bit of trouble there, and I was catching Ethan pretty fast per lap, I thought we could bring it home in P1, but we didn't do it.
With that said, 2 straight weeks on the podium, and it looks like the momentum and the optimism from last week's win in Atlanta, it looks like it pays off again. So Indianapolis is up next, your best 2 races back to back. Maybe a chance to go for 3 consecutive. How do you feel about the big oval next up?
I like the track. It's fun. It's definitely a qualifying type of track, so I will be qualifying next week. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm trying to put together the best results I possibly can. Put this single car team in victory lane. We'll see.
Well, with that said, Brad Patton, another podium finish, and pretty close there to what could have been 2 consecutive race victories. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
I'd like to thank you for the broadcast. Thank Integrity for running the series here on Tuesday nights. KFD, Wanted Goons, OG Gear, McConey Setup Shop, and just everybody for watching.
Brad Patton coming away 3rd place from Dover Motor Speedway and keeping the good times rolling for another top 3. Thank you for your time, Brad.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good night.
And on his way, Brad Patton goes, and you've gotten a word from all drivers on the podium tonight. 30th to 3rd, your biggest mover and hard charger, Brad Patton. Pole sitter with 114 laps led. Ethan Lane finishes 2nd, and Nick Tarbuck finds his way back to victory lane for the first time in 2025. A well-anticipated victory for the number 4 crew, and 3 straight years of winning, 2 years of winning at Dover. Checkered flag falls on the night from Dover Motor Speedway, and if you've enjoyed tonight's coverage, make sure to leave a like on stream and the channel. We'll be traveling next to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, July 29th, same time, same place, live on FTN Broadcasting at 9 p.m. Eastern for more coverage of the Octane Series and our 20th race of the regular season. If you've enjoyed tonight's coverage, well, we've got more racing as well. We'll be broadcasting next on Sunday night with the Schumacher Racing League, and we'd love to have you there. Until then, I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. We'll welcome you back to more Integrity Racing League action next week with the Monday Night Ignite Series and the Tuesday Night Octane Series. Thank you for tuning in live tonight and watching Nick Tarbuck come through for his first win of the year. Congratulations to the 4 team. Thank you once again. We hope you have a fantastic night.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.